Somebody, for the love of God, please give Joseph Kosinski some rocket fuel so he can make more high-octane, adrenaline, action-packed cinematic masterpiece we could all cherish that we never see in every years. Because this film right here that we're going to be talking about, F1 the movie, or I'll just call it F1 for short, for the better title reference. But F1 is what we're going to be talking about on this video today. So be sure, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and leave a like and a review, as it really helps a lot. I cannot wait to talk F1 with you guys, but here we go. Before I talk about my initial reaction on F1, I do want to talk about Apple movies in general over the past years. They have not been the brightest and standard in terms of quality and box office perspective. I know we had The Gorge back in February, and I thought it was a decent movie. You guys can check out my review on it on my channel. And it should have been in theaters, and I feel like it could have been a small hit, in my opinion. And then we had Killers of the Flower Moon in 2023. It did okay, but it didn't like blow up the world, even with Martin Scorsese and DiCaprio's name attached in that film. But Apple movies in general have been the slum over the past years in box office. But this all suddenly changed, because when you look at F1, you have someone like Joseph Kosinski and Brad Pitt, and sure, they're also big names in capacity like Killers of the Flower Moon had, but F1 is an entire different movie to why it fully succeeded the way it's meant to be succeeded. And usually studios that distribute the movies is technically the ones that distribute them to put them in theaters. And we've seen Killers of the Flower Moon by Paramount, and whatever failures, for instances, that studios tend to like bought the rights to distribute the movie, it's not fully on them, and it's usually on Apple for their budgets most of the time. But Warner Brothers right now, and shout out to them, they bought the rights to put this movie in theaters for the right reason. And David Zaslav, who I kind of still despise still nowadays, he must have looked at this movie and said, let's buy this movie and put it in theaters. And shout out to them right now. They took care of business, and they had a great opening weekend in Apple movie history, which made $55 million as I record this video, and it should be updated with bigger updates, and it's going to have an amazing legs as I talk about why F1 is a true blockbuster of the summer that you have to go see. But as I get into F1, I came out of the movie very thrilled, exhilarated, and it left me a smile as I walked out. It left in me a big impression to where it's got some cultural footprints to Top Gun Maverick in terms of the action, which I'll get to in a bit, but it's a fully Top Gun Maverick 2.0. I will answer that for you guys at the end of the back end of the video. But F1, I came out of this film just loved it. Straight up loved it, like a Top Gun Maverick feel. And I loved it a lot than what I anticipated. I didn't go in this movie expecting me a Top Gun Maverick 2.0, but I'm telling you right now, this is a true blockbuster you cannot miss. And I literally watched this movie in IMAX after hearing incredible buzzy stuff on Twitter about go see this in IMAX. And usually I don't see movies a lot in IMAX unless it's like my most anticipated ones I want to go see in. But F1, with the exception of being fully shot in IMAX with certified cameras, it prompted me to go see in IMAX, and the IMAX trip of that was brilliantly worth it. I want to talk about Joseph Kosinski because this man has gone from like a interesting career standpoint. He started with Tron Legacy to Tom Cruise with Oblivion, Only the Brave, and then Top Gun Maverick. But let's just take the point where his most brilliant film of his career is Top Gun Maverick. It came out in 2022, and he brought in a lot of the stuff from the previous film of his with the sound, cinematographer. You have Claudio Miranda, who is the cinematographer of this movie, brilliant cinematographer who did Top Gun Maverick, and brought over here to shoot this movie. So he took half of his team that he worked with, some of the team of Tom Cruise, and brought this movie to the edge of your seat, adrenaline pumped, racing fueled movie. And this is why he excelled most of it with his style, his filmmaking. Joseph Kosinski did an outstanding job with this film. Overall, this could have been just different by someone else. And this is a fun fact too I want to bring up. He was initially going to do Gran Turismo that came out in 2023, but then Neil Blomkamp has done that movie, and he stepped down as well. I mean, Joseph Kosinski stepped down before Neil Blomkamp did that film. And then he went straight to Apple with F1 after having begging, rights of distribution issues. Apple did the movie, brought Kosinski over, and the film is shot, well put it, and the races in this movie were brilliant, top notch, shot in IMAX, and it's so brilliant that even puts you in a heartbeat moment that you're watching this movie all the way. So many racing scenes, especially the third act, gets your heart pumping and racing all the way through. And that is why we go to the movies to experience such spectacle. This is Joseph Kosinski at its finest, from Top Gun to this. So he brought everything from the previous regime to this movie, and he did a brilliant job with it overall. The soundtrack in this movie I want to bring up, and I don't talk about soundtracks in movie reviews often, but this soundtrack by Hans Zimmer was brilliant. And this is the kind of movie with such electrifying score that rarely we get to hear in these movies. Hans Zimmer himself, hands down, one of the best composers in movies right now. This movie is going to be on repeat with the soundtrack. And yes, as you all know or may not know, Apple movies tend to put product musics, which I will say, not to complain, all the product movies they put in mostly fit well. But there's some kind of remixes I noticed from one of the soundtracks. It got remixed to one of its own music from that sound. And that soundtrack, of course, was brilliant. Overall, the soundtrack by Hans Zimmer was outstanding. Let's talk about the cast. You have Brad Pitt starring as the main role, plays Sonny Hayes, who was a former Formula One racer 30 years ago, and he's brought out of retirement to help a Formula One racing team that is facing a colossal disaster as the story goes. And I will talk about the other cast and what they meant with this story in a bit. But Brad Pitt in this movie, how could you ever hate Brad Pitt? He's got the charismatic charisma and the charm he's brought in these movies in all of his career, and he still resonates a lot to the movies up to this day with many adults, including some youngsters. I do like Brad Pitt a lot, and I know him when I was a kid. And one of my previous movie-going sessions over the past years, Bullet Train was one of my favorites. But F1, I think I'm going to start putting on top of it as one of my favorite movies of his. He was also good in World War Z and a lot of other movies he's done over his career. But F1, he's looking like Tom Cruise in a racing car. He's brilliant in this movie overall, Sonny Hayes. You also have Damson Idris, I'm not familiar with, but he plays Joshua Pierce, a Formula One racing teammate who rivals with Sonny Hayes for his jealousy, of course. And I thought he was also brilliant. Their chemistry and duoing were fantastic as well. He was interesting to watch from his character standpoint. Carrie Condon, she is so brilliant in this movie. Plays the technician Formula One director with all the racing, all the car parts she's done and the design. And she plays a very interesting character named Kate, and her chemistry with Brad Pitt, just to talk about, they were fun to watch and retain. And Carrie Condon, I've not been familiar with her movies so much. This is one of the movies I'll probably remember. She's an interesting part, and I think I won't stop thinking about her character in the movie. She is brilliantly interesting. And Javier Bardem plays the owner of the racing team that he enrolled in. I forgot the name, what the team is, but APEC is something like that. That's the team he owns. And I thought Javier Bardem, of course, is such a good actor. How could you not ever be entertained the way his performances goes? So he plays a friend, of course, to Sonny Hayes, who was also a Formula One racer back in his day with him. Plays a team owner, gets to recruit him, and plays a team owner. I thought he was also good in this movie. And the cast of this movie were exceptionally great. As I really want to mention, they were entertaining to watch. And they were, of course, have meaningful characters in this movie. And that's what's really interesting with their performances. The characters are so well written that this is so original. I like the characters in the movie, and they really worked a lot with me throughout this movie. And to answer your question, is this Top Gun Maverick 2.0? Some yes, but at the same time, it's fully a no. And I will tell you why. In some area departments of an Apple movie, Top Gun Maverick, just to talk about it real quick, for those that listen to my channel for quite some time and my podcast, I always loved and cherished Top Gun Maverick as one of my greatest movies of all time. I will never stop thinking about this up to this day. Nothing can replicate that, as I went with this movie with zero expectations. I don't expect this to look at this as Top Gun Maverick 2.0. And some of the story wasn't just shineful. It wasn't impactful, emotional as Top Gun Maverick. That's a legacy sequel. So some of the writing, I'm not saying it's terrible, but it doesn't shine for what Top Gun Maverick had. Top Gun Maverick had Christopher McGuire and the other writers that did this sequel pretty significantly. And Joseph Kosinski was also a story with Aaron Kruger as the writer as well. So In terms of story, it's not replicate the same and emotional as Maverick, but and the yes part, in terms of the team that he brought with the editing, cinematographer, sound, and the shots the movie has done, abso-freaking-lutely. This is just Top Gun Maverick in racing cars in general, basically. And that is why half of that is completely Maverick, but fully at the same time, it's not fully Top Gun Maverick 2.0. So don't go in this movie fully expecting Top Gun Maverick 2.0. Go in this movie like half Top Gun, half F1. And F1 has its own original story at the same time. So it's nothing too wide and broad to speak on about that. But either way, the story was okay. And the racing cars is complete Top Gun Maverick all over. The shots and the cinematography and the sound design were brilliant. So you get all that in this movie. You're basically strapped in the racing car chair, adrenaline, your heart and yourself. This is what Maverick has done last movie, and this is F1 we're talking about. So it's got those elements that you're going to be hopefully enjoying as you watch the movie. F1 the movie is a true blockbuster summer, and I say with a passion that this is actually one of my favorite movies of the year so far. Joseph Kosinski did a phenomenal job with the direction of this movie, cinematography wise, sound, direction. He should keep making these type of movies so often, even if it's original. This guy is a high adrenaline, action pack, electrifying director. We love to ever see him do other movies often. He's done a great job with this movie, making this like half Top Gun Maverick surreal. The cast in the movie were exceptionally phenomenal. Hans Zimmer's scores and the soundtrack were brilliant. And like I said, I'm gonna be listening to that soundtrack a lot over the times as I go out for a walk or doing some fun activities. But the soundtrack is gonna be on repeat with myself probably throughout the whole year. F1, you can just put that in your Spotify, Apple Music. But F1 is a true blockbuster you have to go see, and I highly recommend, as I record this video, go see this in IMAX because it will blow you away and it'll fully strap you in. And Jurassic World Rebirth does not get to IMAX, which is a great news. So you have another whole week of seeing this movie in IMAX if you haven't seen it before Superman takes them in a couple weeks. But this is your chance to go see F1 in any PLF, but IMAX is definitely the one I'm going to go for, and that's definitely the format you should go with. I'll be giving F1 a 9.5 out of 10 and 4.5 stars. Like I said, fully recommend this movie all the way. True summer blockbuster you cannot miss. And if you're going to the movies over the summer, with July having great summer movies like Jurassic, Superman, Fantastic Four, you better put F1 because F1 is a summer blockbuster you cannot miss. And I highly recommend this movie for the pump ride that you will ever see. But if you guys have enjoyed this review, be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like, as it really helps a lot. And I appreciate you guys checking out the review. If you enjoyed this content, do, like I said, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. But most importantly, I want each one of you guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.